Hello, welcome to this week's video where I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful project. If you just bear with me until I show you it in full effect. And there you go, it lights up like so with some pretty little fairy lights behind. So this project uses mainly the Bethlehem edgelit dies, but I wanted to run this as a class. And I didn't want it too difficult because the ladies who were coming were new to me. So I just used a little die cutting at the top with the card front builder dies in this night sky effect. So I'm going to show you how to do that just now. Here are the supplies you'll need. The frame that I'm using measures 6 inches by 6. And there is a little lip inside. I can show you that. So just need to be careful when you are setting up your project that you don't go right to the edge. Otherwise, there's where I've cut my little star, frugal crafting. So I've not gone right to the very edge because this will be hidden by the lip. This is just my particular frame. I did make my first one and it didn't have this same setup, but these particular ones have this little lip on the inside, so just to make you aware of that. So if your frame were the same as mine, then you would take a piece of cardstock, and this measures just under, so it's 15 centimeters squared, which in inches is 5 7/8. Just going to, now that frame's out of the way, turn this other light on just so you see a little bit better. So it's 5 7/8 squared, so just a little bit shy of the 6 inches. Then I have another piece of, this time, Smoky Slate, and this is going to measure 14.5 centimeters, which is 5 6. No, sorry. Yes, 5 6/8. By about 3 inches, 7.5 centimeters. And this is just that when you place your edgelits or your houses, your Bethlehem houses down, that you don't see the navy cardstock through. I thought it looked better for the subsequent layers that it was grey or smoky slate through that. You will also need a small strip of glimmer paper, again 14.5 or 5 7/8 by about 3 centimeters, just over an inch. And this is 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, again by 14.5, and that's what we're going to stamp our sentiment at the bottom, which comes from the Star of Light set. And I have pre-punched, or pre-cut, sorry, a star, again in the silver glimmer paper, which we will use later on. So you also need a lot of glue dots. I would recommend for these delicate, intricate dies to have the die brush and the sponge mat, and also the precision plate on your big shot. So I'm going to show you how I did the night sky first of all. So firstly I'm going to attach with whatever adhesive you use. I like fast fuse. Leaving, again, this is really only for me to remind me not to bring my town out to the edge, if you like. And yes, I'm going to show you how to do this first. So in order to get this way, now you're perfectly welcome to use the moon. I didn't like to have the moon and the star at the same time, so what I've done firstly over here is I've put my moon off the edge of the paper, or cardstock rather, which is Night of Navy cardstock. Excuse me, I'm going to turn it this way, it's a little easier for me. I've seen some beautiful frames that have used sponging effects and heat embossing, but when I was originally making these, I wanted to use it for a class, and the ladies who were interested in coming were total beginners, so I didn't want to put them off completely with too many effects. So that's why I thought if we just do a simple cutout, it'll be a little bit gentler on them for their first experience with paper crafting. Also, it's a little quicker if you'd like to make a few of them. So using the die brush here to poke out those, and any that don't come, of course you can use your piercing tool. Okay, so for the next part, I don't want to have the moon showing, so I'm going to place my die where I want it, making sure that I come in a little bit, because all this bit around the edge will be hidden by the lip of the frame. And then I'm going to, turning my big shot again, put my plate down, but not over the moon, and push that in, and then we can run that through. Big shot is not needed anymore because I've pre-cut my village. And then use the die brush. For the last little stubborn ones, use your piercing tool, or even your snips would be equally as useful if you don't have a piercing tool. Oops. It's also good for the windows on the village scene if they haven't come out totally. I'm just a little be a little bit too gentle with my die brush. So the dies that we're using have are two different sizes. So you have one with a little more underneath the houses, and one that is quite short. So I want the shorter pieces to be used in the background, and then the longer pieces just to for variety, really. So I started with the smaller one, and I'm going to put that across the top, and as you can see, it's not quite long enough. So I have two pieces, and I decided that I would add superimpose one tree over the other and chop just at this house here. So that's what I'm going to do. So just going to add that there, and I'm going to literally just start preparing this for our lights by putting some dimensionals in place. I think our dimensionals are pretty even size, or even depth if you like. So I'll use little ones, or I can't use the big ones. These mini dimensionals are great. I'm also going to use them on the top of the buildings. The subsequent rows I won't use dimensionals. I will just attach them to the row behind, if you like, with glue dots. But the first level I want them raised up, so I'm going to put mini dimensionals on all the roofs of the houses. And when it comes to these little palm trees, even our mini dimensionals are not mini enough because they're really tiny. So I'm going to just snip the mini in half and add it. Okay, then I'm going to take my piercing tool and our glue dots. So I'm going to place glue dots where I want the lights to shine behind. In the pack of lights that I'm using, there are 20. So I've decided with 3 rows of houses that I would have a 7, a 7 and a 6, so 14, 6 being 20, just to spread them out evenly. So I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this row. I can maybe put another one in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and lastly 7. Okay. So when you get the lights, they come like this out of the packet, and I find it easier to pre-prepare them like this, just curling each one kind of around my finger, just so they were ready to attach. So starting from left to right, I'm going to leave that little bit hanging out, and then first one is going there, second one there. It is a little fiddly, I will give you that, but the wires are, in these particular lights, are metallic, both in colour and texture, so they are, you can bend them and they stay in the shape that you bend them. The more you do, honestly, the better you get at this. This has come apart, just put that back. So I don't take the wrapper, or the backing rather, of the dimensionals until I'm happy with where everything is. Again, that's just personal preference, but I feel I would be in a sticky mess otherwise. So keeping them all as flat as possible, and then turning it over to see how that is. I don't like that, I haven't done that right. So I'll move that down a bit. A little bit visible there. Do you find I get a little bit fingers and thumbs? In fact, I may not just put that there at all. I may move that completely and just put it there. And move that one there. There. That should be okay. So that's fine. So now I can take off the backing and put down my first row. Okay, so all the backing is off, and I can place down my first row. Just trying to ensure it is straight. Okay, so for coming to do my second row, I'm going to take my battery pack, move it to the other side. So I'm now going right to left. I'm going to go with this house now. I'm going to chop off the palm tree. I'm going to get the next one, possibly chop off that palm tree and attach it from there. just with the stairs and the palm tree, it becomes a little bit low and it's then a little harder to hide the wires behind. So again, getting my, I'll just measure it up here, make sure I have enough room so I can chop off palm trees here. And we can go like so. So taking a large dimensional, joining those together. And then a few more. Just leaving room for the lights to loop in between. And then we want to have some glue dots on the tallest roofs as we want those to stick down. And then some more glue dots in the middle, and this time we can probably go for 7 here as well. So as I said, this time we are going right to left with our lights. So that way. First one here. Second one there. Third. Fourth. Fifth. This one doesn't want to stick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and last one 7. Now we can smooth these down so they're not sticking up so much. Check from the other side, can't see any wires, so we can remove the backing. Just add maybe a mini dimensional in there because that's a bit bigger space without some dimension. Okay, so let's stick this one down. Now we can see some wires through here, but that's okay. We will fix that in a moment. You have a second or two, really, with dimensionals to move them. Now, with this, because they are metal, you can move them around a bit, wherever is the best place for you not to see them. It's hard to get them totally hidden. And even if they're hidden straight on, if you look from an angle, or one angle or the other, you will. They're not completely hidden, but you can do as best you can. So this one, then I'm going to start, just so the village looks a little different. I don't want to start the next row in exactly the same place. So I'm going to go maybe this way. So chop off this palm tree. And I can come up a little bit higher because my strip is going to cover the bottom. So I can come to about here, and then could add this bit. Yeah, let's add that bit. So again, we got, let me see, we could probably stop there. Actually, I must admit that each time I do this, my village is slightly different. And it's okay that one crosses over, that's fine. Okay, so there we go. Just need some more dimensionals. Just join those first. And glue dots. So the last row we will only have 6. And then some for the top roofs. Oh, where'd it go? Come back. Yeah. Okay, that's probably say enough. Oh no, all the roofs will touch. I think the first couple of times I made this I was a little frugal with my glue dots, and subsequent ones I've gone overboard with the glue dots and they've genuinely looked a lot better. So again, this time now we're going left to right, so I would put my battery pack this way. Place that here and start fixing the lights. So it doesn't actually have to be the bulb, it's more the wire that you want to fix, but they don't really heat up, so it's not going to melt the glue. The thing about these particular little lights, I've heard, though I haven't had mine on long enough, that the batteries don't last very long. So if you do get them off Amazon, and I'll put the link below, get the batteries at the same time, because they're a bit of an odd shape and they're not ones you'd find too easily otherwise. So let's see what that looks like. That's fine. Take So press down on the dimensionals and then press down on the glue dots. And there you go. So for these, obviously I don't want them hanging over the edge, so I really just bend them out of the way. So as they are metallic, or metal rather, copper wire, they do just go where you tell them to go. That can go back in here. You won't really see that bit anyway because it's hidden with the lip of the frame. So the final thing to do is to take our star and affix that. Oh, I haven't done the backing of the night sky. Put that about there. Zoom in, it hasn't popped out yet. And then my glimmer paper. I'm not sure if that's totally straight, is it? You just move it a little bit like that, yeah. Best thing to fix this with is glue dots, which are here. So just take that. And again, even though that's not covered, it will be hidden by the lip. So the last thing to do is just to stamp the sentiment which goes along on this strip. So I like to use the Stampin' piercing mat as it's a photopolymer stamp, and then just a few stars on the side. And for this one, I'm going to take my fast fuse, and I made a bit of a boo-boo there. Adhere that along the top, which would be this end, and then some dimensionals along the bottom. That's our project completed. And one thing I should have done, but hopefully it will work, is to remove the little protective seal, and hopefully, because I didn't test them, this should work. Ta-da! There you go. And if there's any little wires that you're not happy with, just try and hide them behind windows or walls, as and where you can. So that's that project, and back again to the finished one. You can see that. Oh yes, I've just brought, so you can drill a hole. I haven't put my backing back on, but you can drill a hole through this, or use crocodile or something. But the wire's actually thin enough just to come out the side. And I've just used a couple of glue dots up here, and then some tear and tape along the top to keep that in place. And there's the finished article. Hope you enjoyed that. If you've any questions, please do shout, and I'd be happy to answer them. And hope to see you soon at stampincolor.com. Thanks now. Bye.